All right, ladies and gentlemen, in our next video, we are continuing our discussion of areas of circles with our total goal in mind here at the top. But specifically in this video, we're diving on into our success criteria that allows us to now look into the sector of a circle and using the sector of a circle formula right down in here to go ahead and find area of different parts or chunks of a circle, because a sector is just a portion of a circle. That's all that it really is. So what is the area of a sector? Well, again, remember what a sector is. Is the mathematically scholarly way to put it is the region bounded by two radii of the circle and their intercepted arc, right? So here would be our two radii, AB would be our intersected arc right here, and sector APB would be that sector that we are talking about. Well, if the sector is just a portion or a piece of the pizza, right, and that's all that it really is, if it's just a piece of the pizza, then you're really just thinking of the sector as a piece of the whole area. So the area of the sector is to the area of the whole circle, just as the measure of the sector is to the whole circle's measure. This should look familiar. Hopefully you're realizing that this is extremely similar to what we did for the area, or excuse me, the length of the arc, And so this is a very, very similar concept there specifically. So you can think of it as a proportion, or you can think of it as just a simple formula for area of a sector. So let's take a look here at an example of how we can put this into some practice. So it says find the areas of the sectors formed by UTV. So it wants all of our sectors, So let's go ahead and take a look here at sector UTV, and then we'll go ahead and look at our blue sector UTV in a second as well too. So right now, what do we know? Well, we know that the measure, and let's change colors here. I don't always like using this highlighter green. The measure of UV, the arc, is going to be 70 degrees. How do I know that? Because it's the central angle is equal to 70 degrees as well. I know that my radius is equal to 8. And so I can go ahead and find the entire arc by utilizing our new arc, or area of a sector formula. So the area of a sector, so we'll put area of a sector is to the whole area, pi r squared, equal to our measure of the arc over 360 degrees, UV. So in this case, the area of the sector, we're going to go ahead and call it just x for now to make our lives a little bit easier. Pi r squared, so pi times 8 squared equals the measure of the arc, which we said was 70 degrees, over 360 degrees. Well, I like to kind of try to make my life as easy as possible, and both of 70 and 360 are divisible by 10, so I know that I can get rid of those zeros just by dividing them both by 10, right? I didn't change the truth value of that fraction. So now 7 over 36 is just easier to deal with. So now if I cross multiply here, I can see that we get 36x is equal to 7 times 8 squared, which is 64. So 64 times 7 is 448 pi. And then x equals 448 divided by 36 gives us roughly about 12.4 pi. So then if I roughly kind of approximate that to the nearest 10, 12.4 times 3.14 is going to give me about 38.9 total. And what are we in inches? We're in inches squared for that red sector. Now, we also want to go ahead and find the measure of the blue sector, though, however. So let's think here for a sec. What are some possibilities and some routes that we can take to solve for the area of this blue sector? Well, I kind of challenge you, pause the video and see if you can come up with a couple ways to do this. Obviously, we know the whole circle adds up to 360 degrees. So we could take 360 minus 70 and get 290, and that's the measure of this central angle right here, which would be the measure of this arc. And we could do the exact same thing as we did. Or, what else could we do? Well, if we already know that this red area of the sector is 38.9, I could find the whole area and then do what? Just subtract to find what's left over. So let's try that route. So I know that this is going to be 38.9 for that area. Inches squared, so we know its area. If we then kind of go ahead and think about this, I'm going to go ahead and erase just to get some little bit more room down here. What would be the entire area? Well, the whole area formula is just simply going to be pi r squared. So the whole area equals pi r squared. So the area of the whole circle is going to end up giving us, 8 squared times pi, and that's going to be 64 pi. So roughly speaking, 64 times 3.14 gives us approximately about 200.96. So then I want to take the whole area minus the area of the sector, which would be 200.96 minus 38.9, which roughly is about 162.1 inches squared. And that would be the area of that particular sector. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for our areas of sectors, and we're on to the next one.